Hello and welcome. This is our first introductory meeting with you, and it's a pleasure. And I'd like to first start with protocol, acknowledging the land we're on, Mother Earth, and the people who steward it, the Musqueam people, who are in their place and with their ancestors. And we will be traveling to the traditional ancestor territories of the Blackfoot for the Sundance, so we'd like to acknowledge that too. We would like to acknowledge the ancestors of the East and those who travel here to our center, which will be our circle for the course. And we'd like to ask our ancestors of the South, place of the condor, the serpent, and the jaguar, and the people who travel to the South to our center. We welcome you and hope you bring your medicine. We'd like to acknowledge our welcoming to the West, the ancestors, the mountains, the oceans, the trees, and the ancient ones here. We're very humbled by your hospitality, and we welcome those who travel from the West. And finally, we acknowledge your purifying presence of our ancestors of the North, and welcome all who travel to our center here for this course. And from that, it is an honor to participate you with this course, and you're most welcome. And we'll be going into this a little more through the sessions and through the ceremony and our experience of that, which in this second year we're looking most forward to. How Vanessa and I kind of describe our movement towards this. We were part of the ceremony before we started to kind of visualize it in academic terms and what it might mean. So I just wanted to read a couple paragraphs on kind of some of the founding things we think about, even though we hope we will move away from thinking during the course itself. So it became an idea of walking in two worlds. And as Indigenous people, how do we do that? So we had kind of a political and existential challenge. And this involves the well-known thought of walking in two worlds in beauty. And how do we do that? So the question arose, what does that mean, walking in two worlds in beauty? So we kind of theorized this involved and experienced. Indigenous people face a difficult paradox related to two challenges of surviving in an individualistic, competitive, and consumerist society, but we also have to keep alternative ways of knowing and being within these societies. So the Sundance is one of the practices that affirm a different existential approach to life, not defined by modern global capitalism. So sundances are often held in remote places, and they're not advertised, but are generally open to the public to watch on certain days, and a lot of times you'll be invited. The practice also involves different types of knowledge and procedures that are only passed down after processes of initiation that take several years, and we'll discuss that because we went through the initiation process, which usually involves 4 years of initiation and immersion into the practice in the world of the Sundance. So the most prominent features of the Sundance are the 4 days of water and ritual, food and water, ritual fast, which is quite interesting, and we'll go through that a little more. It's 4 days of dancing from sun up to sundown and fasting for those 4 days.
You will be witnessing this, not doing the fast. You're invited to try, but you're not required to fast.
Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, you might give it a try for 1 day or something, just to really get into what it feels like to participate in such a generous and honorable practice. And so Some of the things we'll do is we'll be witnessing dance and pledges, and these are the initiates and prayers and drumming, singing, sweat lodges, pipe ceremonies, and the Pearson ritual, which involves offering and tearing of flesh, and we'll discuss that a little more as the course goes on, and this understanding of sacred pain, and we'll discuss that during our time on campus here. But it involves kind of an act of self-sacrifice and the embodiment of pain as offering to the wider relationships. And it's kind of a reciprocity with non-humans and more than humans. And and it's offered for the community, the greater good, kind of for heal and for people to live in a good way. So it also involves the dismantlement of egos, the initiation of vision, medicine, relationships, and other happenings. Now, I think I'll pass this on before I make another typo. So, welcome. It's really an honor and pleasure, and I think the second year will be a most memorable experience, and the community is preparing as we speak for us and to invite us in a good way. And I hope we accept also all of us in a good way, because that'll be
an
important.
invitation. Yeah, so my part in the video is to talk about more the practical things of the course itself. So the course emerged with an invitation from the elder, from Keith Chief Moon, and also from his partner, Karen. They approached us and they wanted us to bring students to the Sundance. And in the beginning we were a bit hesitant because there are lots of discussions about how to create this connection between university and the community. And we knew this could be very controversial. And last year we saw that it was, but it was also extremely an extremely beneficial experience that everybody enjoyed, that was beneficial for the community and beneficial for the students. That's why we're doing it a second time, trying it, experimenting with it a second time. Now, from that invitation from the elder to bring people, we had to think through what the course would be. So the first thing that is important to mention here is that this course is not a course where you study the Sundance, because you can't study a ceremony from an academic perspective without appropriating or commodifying what you're studying. So the course is actually about yourself. It's about your response to witnessing the Sundance, to accepting this invitation from the elder. So a lot of the course will be about us observing ourselves respond to what you're exposed to in this space, in this community, that is very complex, very heterogeneous, and that's trying to create a space of collective medicine that could help everybody. So it's a space not where you're going to go to believe in anything. It's not about believing in, but believing with a community. And it doesn't matter the content of what you believe, but the connection that you have with a community that has an intention to create collective medicine for everybody. And we're going to be talking about that in the course, about that relationship that we have with language, with the content of knowledge, and how that mediates our relationships. And what we're going to try to do is to have relationships not mediated by belief, not mediated by our interpretations, by our rationalizations. And that, I think, was a great gift in learning that we took from the last course, that was an important point that we needed to focus on in the course. So I think I'm going to be talking a little bit about what is going to happen and then go back to how to prepare for the course, because I think that's one of the things that you might be thinking about. So I'll take you through all the days. Let me just open up my calendar here so that I can remember and talk about the dates in the correct way. So the course starts on the 27th of June, or it's on a Monday, and it's going to be here at UBC. From the 27th to the 30th, we're going to be here at UBC looking a little bit at the literature related to the Sundance, into sacred pain, but also preparing ourselves in terms of being in the group and creating a community, a small community, in terms of protocols to enter this other space in Alberta. So 27th to the 30th, it's your preparation, both academic and experiential. And then the July the 1st is a holiday and you have this day to prepare. The idea is to leave on the 2nd on a convoy to Alberta. So we go from Vancouver, from here. Last year we started the journey at 7:30 in the morning, and we arrived in Fort Macleod. That's where we stop the night, and we stop many times during the way, but we stop in Fort Macleod to sleep. And we have to arrange the accommodation collectively. So the whole preparation of the convoy and everything is done in the 4 days too. So you don't have to worry too much about that unless you want to fly there. So some people last year did fly to Lethbridge, and then we arranged pickups. It was a bit complicated. It was better actually to go in a convoy, but it's still possible. So we sleep on Fort Macleod on the 2nd, because in the morning on the 3rd there is an invitation for us to go to a mountain on the US side of the border called Chief Mountain, which is the sacred mountain for Blackfoot in the Blackfeet. So you would need to bring your passport, and again in the convoy we're going to cross the mountain, go up a plateau that exists in the mountain and spend a bit of the day there, and then return when it's still daylight, go to the Sundance grounds where the teepees for the group probably will be up, or you will participate in the raising of the teepees, which is a ceremony as well. So on Sunday we will sleep on the teepees already. Now I'll make a stop here to talk about those of you who are bringing family. Now, we think that we might have a little bit room for a few more people in the teepees, but we really ask for those who are bringing family to think about also bringing a tent so that you can have the space for the family. The teepees are for the participants in the course. As I said, there might be a bit of room there for some family, but as a rule, if you're bringing family, you need to organize your own tent. There are toilets on the grounds, and there is a kitchen. So from Sunday to Tuesday, we're going to be using the kitchen collectively to prepare the meals for ourselves, but also, so we have to organize that ourselves. And during Monday and Tuesday, we're going to be helping the community prepare the grounds for the Sundance. And there are many things that need to be done. From there's an arbor, so we have to fix the tarps in the arbor and create the shade for the arbor. There's sage picking that needs to be done. There's clearing of the grounds. There's the cooking for us. There are many different things that need to be done on Monday and Tuesday. And we're sleeping again in the teepees. But on Monday and Tuesday, you still have the option to go into town. And sometimes some people want to take a shower, for example. So they decide. And then we have some arrangements with some hotels there to do that. From Wednesday is the tree, what they call the tree day. So the day where the tree is cut and taken to the grounds. From Wednesday, the ceremony starts. So Wednesday is a special day. It's a very different day where we have to as a community, to go to different places and bring this tree to the grounds. And that's the day where we tie our prayer ties to the tree as well. So which is really, it's really special too. And we're going to learn how to do the prayer ties during the course, and what to buy for you to be able to do that. From the day of the tree to the end of the ceremony, then we are in ceremony. The request for the community last time was for people to remain on the grounds if they are in a ceremony. Some people then had cravings to go and have, I don't know, McDonald's. And that nobody's going to tell you off for doing that, but you need to be very careful, because as you're leaving the grounds, when you are in ceremony, you're also bringing the energies that are outside to the grounds, and that can be problematic. The other thing is that sometimes you're going to have food somewhere else, and then other people who can't have or don't have the same possibility of mobility can become upset because they might also feel that they needed to go. So the best thing for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is to focus on the ceremony. You won't have any other opportunity to do that in this kind of environment in a course. So we really ask you to then put your whole being where the community is asking and inviting us to participate. So Wednesday is the 3-day. Wednesday is when the fast, at midnight on Wednesday is when the fast for the initiates starts. So they can't eat or drink, which means that whenever we're on the grounds of the ceremony itself, we cannot bring any drinks or any food because it's just disrespectful to do that. But there is going to be a kitchen. In that kitchen, as part of the ceremony, needs to be offering food to the community, the whole community. So we all contribute to the food that is going to be offered during the ceremony, and we take turns to make this food in the kitchen. So we take turns in the kitchen, sometimes sage speaking for the women, and then a lot of the time is spent witnessing the ceremony as observers or in supporters. Last year, what happened too was that some of the elders came to the camp, to the student camp, to sit with them until late at night sometimes, or even during the day, and that those sessions, those spontaneous sessions also happen. What else that happened? Protocol for dresses. For women, you will need long skirts. It's going to be very hot during the day and very cold at night. So you will need 2 types of clothing and very good covers, because when it gets cold, it gets really cold. During the ceremony, we will be talking much more about this later. So I'm not going to give you too much to digest right now. I'm just going to say that the ceremony finishes at midday on Sunday. Midday could be up to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we don't have any control of the timing. And then after that, there is a giveaway ceremony, and that goes up until about 5. And then people can either stay. Then people have decided last year too, some people decided to stay and sleep on the ground and then come back on Monday. Or some people just came at around 4 o'clock. They started moving towards the West Coast, and some slept in Kamloops and then split the journey into 2. So I think the next important thing to say is that we're going to be instructors in the course for the 4 days, but then once we are in ceremony, we are like everybody else. There's no teachers or students. We are in a space where the elders are the teachers. We're all learners, and they're going to say they're all learners too. You will be exposed to very different teachings, because this Sundance attracts people from all kinds of communities, and there are certain teachings that we have on those grounds that are very important in relation to teachings themselves. So you're going to receive a teaching or teachings, and these teachings are for you. So in the Western tradition, when we have a teaching, we put it in the book or in an encyclopedia, and then it becomes a teaching for everybody. In those grounds, if you receive a teaching, that teaching is for you. And it's not to be reported and repeated, because that's what you needed at that point in time. So being open to receiving whatever comes to you when you're there is extremely important in that space. So in terms of the course and in terms of preparation for being open to receiving the teachings from the land and the elders and the other people around you, we have agreed on a curriculum that encompasses 4 different concepts that we would like you now, as you're preparing for the course, to try to hold with you. So try to carry them with you and see what they mean for you. So the first principle is the principle of presence or presencing. How do we become present to something without thinking about where things come from, where they're going to? Know, how do we just stop time and become present to witness something? And in this presence, how do we host ourselves and observe ourselves in that moment? So it requires a little bit of practice to step back, to decenter ourselves, to disarm ourselves, to be able to host ourselves in the moment. So the first concept is presencing. The second concept is resonating. So resonance. How do we allow sound and movement to enter into our being? So especially when you're hearing the drums and you're seeing people dance, how do you allow yourself to be part of that medicine? So that also requires a little bit of decentering, a bracketing of your thinking, of the reason that we'll go and try to describe everything. That's what we're trained to do in spaces like this, like academia or schooling. So how do we bracket our thinking and put it aside so that our bodies can also reason, right? Our bodies and our other senses can open up to be part of something that doesn't require explanation or description or analysis. So that's the second principle. We have presencing, resonating or resonance. The third one is an interesting one, which is release. So because the Sundance is a space for medicine, what it will ask you to do at some point is to release what you've been bottling up, what you've been repressing, things that you've been kind of trying to leave over there, and it will come to you, probably through a very strong emotional outburst, which, like in the last course, everybody had. But it's a necessary catharsis so that you leave the ceremony lighter. So that's the place for you to leave it there. So the elders say that it knocks on your door 4 times. The first time it's very light. The second time it bursts the door. The third time you feel it really strongly. The fourth time you're on the floor. So answer the door the first time if you can. And even when you are on the floor, it will show you what you have to learn and what you have to deal with, but it won't force you to deal with it, right? So you can always choose not to do anything. Nobody will force you to do anything there. But if you have this opportunity to leave something on that sacred space, take it, right? Take it, leave it all there, and come back without it. And then what happens is that for us, even like in a year, you accumulate so much and you need to leave it there. Therefore, whatever happens there stays there, right? So you cannot comment with other people. What the testimony is that you will witness, and nobody will comment also if they see you, or it's just what happens. That's the space for that. That's the space for us to cry together and to face the pain, the collective pain and individual pain that we carry with us. And we're going to be holding the space and hosting the space for that to happen, for us all to be able to heal. So we have presencing, resonating, releasing, and the next one is balance. So always keeping in mind that we have extremes of thinking, we have extremes of feeling, we have extremes of, and we have to experience sometimes extremes, but it's always important to come back to balance. And with the lessons learned from whatever it is that we experience. So you will see people experiencing extremes. Sometimes it's extremes of happiness, sometimes it's extremes of anger. We don't know what's going to come up in that space, but whatever comes up in that space needed to come up, and it's a teaching for you. So how do you approach these teachings? With openness and with balance. Especially if somebody's going to an extreme, you have to keep it balanced. And what the elder would say is put tobacco down for that person. Do not get angry with anything. It is a space for joy, for you to be present, for you to resonate, for you to release, and for you to learn again with us, with all of us, that we need that, to learn to live in balance.
I'd just like to say, and we'll talk a lot more about this when we first meet and being to being.
And we will invite some of the students who went last year to come back. There will be some elders also who have helped us last year from here, from Vancouver, who will come back. And what we would like you to do also, if you have any questions, write them down now, please, as you're watching the film. But we have 2 sessions, face-to-face sessions, where we're going to be talking to you using Blue Jeans. You will receive the information by email. One session is on the 4th, the other is on the 5th. They last from 1 to 2 online. So it's a phone number that you can call, or a link that you can enter, and then you have these 2 opportunities to ask us specific questions. If you can't participate in the question and answer, we can then try to establish a Skype connection with you so that we have a one-on-one conversation as well. The last thing I forgot about the moon time. So moon time for the girls, there's going to be a moon lodge, and we do not tell anybody to interfere with the periods, because the moon time is a ceremony in itself. So we're going to be, if you're in your moon time and if the moon time happens there, we're going to be together then as women in the moon lodge and in our own ceremony. We won't be able to participate in the big ceremony, but we will have our own ceremony there.
I guess just on behalf of Keith, whose vision this course was, and Karen and the society, I think they gave us the right to welcome you to the community in a good way, and I'm sure it's going to be quite a memorable experience for all of us.
Absolutely. And we ask you, the last request, it's very important, to go to Connect. If you are a UBC student already, go to Connect and access the readings. It would be important if you could do the readings before we start on the 27th. For those of you who are not UBC students, who are coming from the community, you will receive your readings by email closer to the time. So probably by the 4th of June, you should have all your readings, and then from 4th of June to the 27th, you need to read them. So that during the course itself at UBC, you don't have to do the readings, you just can be present to the course. The course at UBC is going to happen from 4 to 7 or 5 to 8?
I think it's 4 to 7.
From 4 to 7.
We'll have to...
We have to check that. But we can also negotiate what is best for people. If we're going to, with the group, do it from 4 to 7 or 5 to 8. But it's going to be around that range. And if you have any questions, again, please write them down. We have the session on the 4th and 5th. And if we need more conversations before the course, we can also contact you through Skype. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.